Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my NFL award predictions. So starting off with the Assistant Coach of the Year, we have three finalists there. We've got Lions Offensive Coordinator Ben Johnson, 49ers Defensive Coordinator DeMeco Ryans, and Eagles Offensive Coordinator Shane Steichen. So all three finalists did a great job this season, but my pick to win the Assistant Coach of the Year is going to go to 49ers Defensive Coordinator DeMeco Ryans, now the Texans head coach. He held the top defense in the NFL both scoring-wise, and they also gave up the least amount of yards per game. He was a big reason why the 49ers defense was so good, and a big reason for their success. And he was so good, he ended up getting himself a head coaching job with the Texans. So I have DeMeco Ryans winning the Assistant Coach of the Year. Moving on to the Coach of the Year, we have five finalists there. We've got Brian Daboll of the Giants, Sean McDermott of the Bills, Doug Peterson of the Jaguars, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, and Nick Sirianni of the Eagles. So there's five finalists, as I just named them all. But really, I think only three have a chance to win, those three being Brian Daboll, Nick Sirianni, and Kyle Shanahan. For me, this comes down to Daboll and Shanahan. Brian Daboll had the Giants in the playoffs in his first season as a head coach, and this was the Giants team picked to finish as one of the worst teams in the NFL coming into the season, and instead Brian Daboll led them to a 9-7-1 record, making the playoffs, and he did it with a roster that didn't really have much talent. And for Kyle Shanahan, he's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL, and why he's in this conversation is because he had his team as the second best team in the NFC with a third-string quarterback in Brock Purdy. And if there's any team that could make the playoffs with their third-string quarterback, it's the 49ers, and Kyle Shanahan is an absolutely massive reason why. So I could see Coach of the Year going multiple different directions, but I've got Brian Daboll taking home Coach of the Year honors. Moving on to the Comeback Player of the Year, the finalists are Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Geno Smith. Another award I could see going to any of the three finalists. The case for each player: Saquon Barkley had a great season with 1,312 yards and 10 touchdowns, showing he's still a very good running back. And the guy the Giants drafted at number 2 overall is still there. For Christian McCaffrey, he was finally able to stay healthy, played in all 17 games, playing in the maximum games for the first time since 2019. He finished with 1,139 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, and also 741 receiving yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. A great bounce-back campaign for Christian McCaffrey. And for Geno Smith, he was great this season, and unlike Barkley and McCaffrey, he wasn't coming back from injury-riddled season. Instead, he was showing he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He had a great season, completing almost 70% of his passes for 4,282 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 11 picks. So this is one I could definitely see going either way. I'll take Geno Smith, as he really proved he's a good quarterback in the NFL, and he is my Comeback Player of the Year, although I could definitely see this going to any of the three finalists. Moving on to the Offensive Rookie of the Year, we have three finalists there. We've got Garrett Wilson, Kenneth Walker, and Brock Purdy. So this one isn't quite as wide open as some of the other awards, but I could definitely see multiple players winning. So going over the case for each, Garrett Wilson was the best of any rookie wide receiver. He had 83 catches for 1,103 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he did it with the Jets team that really didn't have good quarterback play. For Kenneth Walker, he was great once he got the starting running back role for the Seahawks, being the only rookie running back to rush for more than 1,000 yards at 1,050, and he also had 9 rushing touchdowns. And for Brock Purdy, his numbers aren't amazing because he only started 5 games in the regular season, but he threw for 1,374 yards, 14 touchdowns, just 4 picks, and he did not lose the game to the NFC Championship game, and obviously he got hurt in that game. Now, I could see this going to Garrett Wilson or Brock Purdy. Kenneth Walker's been good this season, but I think Brock Purdy and Garrett Wilson have just been a bit better. I have Garrett Wilson winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year just because he was very consistent the entire season despite horrible quarterback play for the Jets. In fact, they started 3 different quarterbacks this season, and Garrett Wilson, he was always putting up good numbers, having good performances despite bad quarterback play. Very consistent player this season, and Garrett Wilson is my Offensive Rookie of the Year. Moving to the Defensive Rookie of the Year, the finalists Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, and Tariq Woolen. So all three had spectacular rookie seasons, but I think the two corners in Woolen and Sauce Gardner have made this a two-man conversation, even though Aiden Hutchinson had a good season. So the case for each player, Aiden Hutchinson had 9.5 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, and 3 picks, for a defensive lineman is very impressive. For Tariq Woolen, he was tied for the league lead with 6 picks, also had 16 pass breakups, and allowed a completion percentage of 51.5 when targeted, and allowed only 3 touchdowns. For Sauce Gardner, he had an NFL high 20 passes defended, also 2 interceptions, allowed a completion percentage of 53.5 when targeted, and also only gave up 1 touchdown in the entire season. So even though Tariq Woolen and Aiden Hutchinson were great in their rookie season, Sauce Gardner has just been on another level. He's established himself as one of the best corners in the NFL, even earning first-team All-Pro honors as a rookie, and he's my Defensive Rookie of the Year pick. And Sauce Gardner has been a very, very good player in his rookie season, and he's my pick to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Moving on to the Offensive Player of the Year, we have a few finalists there: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Justin Jefferson, and Patrick Mahomes. So this one could really go in any direction. The case for each player: Tyreek Hill had 119 catches and 1,710 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns. His a little over 1,700 yards were second most in the NFL to Justin Jefferson. For Jalen Hurts, he had 3,701 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, also 760 yards on the ground, and 13 rushing touchdowns. And he also missed a few games due to injury. For Justin Jefferson, he had a league high 128 catches for a league-leading 1,809 yards and also 8 touchdowns. For Patrick Mahomes, he had a league-leading 5,250 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, and 12 picks, also 358 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So, the Offensive Player of the Year is the player that had the best offensive season, and I could see that going. Really, the two main players here would be Justin Jefferson or Jalen Hurts. I'm going to give it to Justin Jefferson. He was on pace to break the single-season receiving record, but ended up just shy of the record. And he's already established himself as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and I have him winning Offensive Player of the Year, but I could see this one going in any direction. Moving to the Defensive Player of the Year, the finalists Nick Bosa, Micah Parsons, and Chris Jones. So this is a bit more straightforward, but we'll go over the stats and case for each player anyway. So Nick Bosa had a league-leading 18.5 sacks and 19 tackles for loss. Micah Parsons had 13.5 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, and Chris Jones had 15.5 sacks and 17 tackles for loss. So Nick Bosa was the sack leader. He was consistently dominant all season long and a superstar player on the 49ers' best defense, and he was definitely the NFL's best defensive player, and I think he will win Defensive Player of the Year. And the final award we have is the MVP. So we've got 5 finalists: Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Jefferson. Each player's numbers on the season: Josh Allen had 4,283 yards passing, 35 passing touchdowns, and 14 picks, also 762 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. For Joe Burrow, he had almost 4,500 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 picks, also 257 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 3,701 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, 6 picks, and 760 rushing yards, 13 rushing touchdowns. And Patrick Mahomes, 5,250 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 12 picks, 358 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. And Justin Jefferson, 128 catches for 1,809 yards and 8 touchdowns. So, for me, the MVP is down to 2 players, and coincidentally, both players are in the Super Bowl, both are quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. So, the meaning of MVP is most valuable player. So, both obviously had great seasons, but I think Patrick Mahomes is more valuable to the Chiefs, because if you look, where would the Chiefs be without Patrick Mahomes? They would definitely not be in the Super Bowl. They probably wouldn't have even made the playoffs. That's how important Mahomes is to the Chiefs. Whereas, if you take Jalen Hurts out of the Eagles, they're still a good team if they have an average quarterback, because obviously Jalen Hurts, he's a very, very good quarterback, but the Eagles, they have a tremendous team around Jalen Hurts as well. So, that answers our question. I have Patrick Mahomes as the MVP, as he's so valuable to the Chiefs. I say more valuable this season to the Chiefs than Jalen Hurts was to the Eagles. So, those are my NFL award predictions for the 2022-2023 season. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my predictions, disagree, and why. If there's an award where you disagree, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.